We have a very special guest today, uh, Prakash Raj, actor, director and politician. Thank you for coming to the Bangalore 2040 Summit.
My pleasure.
When you think of Bangalore, say 2 decades from now, as a Bangalorean, as someone who's spent a lot of time in Bangalore, done theatre in Bangalore, what is the first thing that comes to your mind?
I'm already seeing no Bangalore, the Bengaluru I grew up with, and I hope we will revive and bring in that spirit. It is more of the newer population, newer generation. It can possible only if they own up Bengaluru. And otherwise, I don't see Bengaluru. Yeah.
Going forward, what is it that Bengaluru should do to regain this ethos, this liberal ethos that you're talking about and that you spoke about at the conference?
Bengaluru was very nature friendly.
Okay.
Bengaluru was very patient. Bengaluru would listen then. Bengaluru would see a brimming theatre. Bengaluru had a great empathy. And now it's too crowded. It's too crowded. And it's a lot of impatience I see in Bengaluru. We as children, Bengaluru was a place where children walked to schools and elders walked to their parks. And now they don't walk to schools and they add to the traffic. And this is no more a place for elders.
Right. Yeah, the footpaths are narrower.
There is no more a place for elders. And I see trees going away. I remember Lal Bagh, and I remember the weather, I remember the culture, I remember the spaces. I'm not against a city growing, but a city is growing everywhere. And Bengaluru, 3 decades back, was not dependent on Kaveri for drinking water. Now we are dependent on that because we have killed our lakes. And we are seeing the repercussions of it. And whatever has been done is just to survive. And I don't see, unless the government, the people, and as a civil society, if we don't reimagine the future of what it will be in 2040, it will be very difficult then to, repair it.
Right. Yeah. So there's this idea that old Bangaloreans are very nostalgic about the city and don't much value the vibrancy that has come into the city since the 90s. How would you react to
that? Happens with every generation, when you don't unlearn, you don't realize there is growth, you don't understand there is a new language and there is new horizons, and I think that even both the old Bangalore, we just can't have the same Sampiga Road and Gandhi Bazaar Road anymore. But at the same time, you need to understand that you can give the next generation wings and you don't decide their flight.
Right. Yeah.
And
so
it has to happen from both sides.
Right. So how do we do that? How do we go about fixing this?
There should be an intent first. There should be a lot of things to happen from the government and from the civil society. And you can't be pessimistic all the time. But then if you can imagine first and then understand, as I was talking about, unless you invest on the humus of Bengaluru, the earth in the sense, in the minds, culturally, and until and unless that, we will not be able to. Otherwise, it will just be a laboratory.
Right.
Yeah. And you just can't give an answer in one sentence because it is a multi-dimensional intervention is needed. Right. Into this thing, into your schools, into your theatres, into the system of education, and trying to empower schools. You have given permissions to schools even on a 2nd floor or a 3rd floor. It doesn't work like that. You're not investing on parks. Doesn't work like that, and we need to work on all those aspects. It's very easy to just give a statement and say, I know it, but the point is there's a lot of work is there, and multi-dimensionally we need to think about it. Yeah.
Since you already contested a parliamentary election, you contested from Bangalore Central and unsuccessfully, but do you plan to contest again? And
electoral politics, no more electoral politics. And when I contested the elections, I wanted to know. I wanted to go into how politics works, and I think I have learnt a lot and a lot of eye openers into it. Now, as a constituency in Bangalore, if you see, We need to have our own. When I looked into the way the schools were designed, the way the corporation works, the way there are sectors, there is, you go into Shivaji Nagar, it's totally a different world. It is not Bengaluru anymore. You go into Shanti Nagar, the amount of drugs and the things which are coming to it, we're just putting out. You go into Gandhi Nagar, that's a different constituency altogether. Now you go into HRS layout and things like that, and the sort of flat cultures which has come, the sort of grouping. So it is not that Bengaluru, you're just trying to sell something called Bengaluru. It is not that Bengaluru anymore, but there's so many cactuses have cropped up, so many issues have cropped up, which is unattended. I talk about a vision, they're saying that we'll clear the slums, but you just can't clear the slums. You have to empower them and clean it and build them, because if you remove the slums and put them somewhere out of the city, what will happen to your maids? What will happen to your electricians? What will happen to your auto drivers? We are not understanding that at all. We are not looking at people and the city.
Right.
See, and Bangalore is not that Bangalore, that's what I'm saying. You really have to walk into the streets of Shivaji Nagar. You want to go into the interiors of Alsur. You have to go into what Shanti Nagar is, what is Rajaji Nagar is, what are the JP Nagar faces are there. A lot of things which is need to be, that's what I said, you have to, until and unless you seriously sit, bring different walks of people into it, until then you can't do anything.
Yes.
It is just going to be survival.
Approach, yes. But what is it about politics that you're disappointed about?
There's nothing to be disappointed of. A person born in this country, being a taxi, you're into politics the minute you walk out of the road. And until and unless the citizens, I'm very sure that this country will not revive because of a single leader or a political party. It has to be the people.
Right. No, I mean, you spoke about electoral politics. And
electoral politics in the sense,
stepping out of it.
I am more powerful now as a citizen. It's better to be a questioning citizen. Because you have to join a political party, it doesn't work like that. So until and unless you create this, until the people realize that it is their politics, because you see, the point is, you said you unsuccessfully stood for elections, and I don't believe in that. The point is, it is not important to win or lose, but are you in the battlefield? Because until and unless the people of this country or the citizens of the Bangalore realize that if they choose the right leader, they win. If they choose a leader without vision, they lose.
Right.
They have nothing to lose. Until and unless we understand that. And that is, before it is too late, we need to understand, or life will teach you to understand. And then there will be more deeper wounds than flesh, which takes time to heal, but you have to go through the process.
Right. So who, in your opinion, is this right leader?
That's exactly what I'm telling. See, leaders are representatives. For example, until and unless in your mindset, if you don't realize that you don't choose a prime minister, you don't choose a chief minister, you choose a representation of your constituency. Now, how many of us know who is there's no leaders, they're representatives who handle our money, who handle our property.
Right.
You understand that? Until and unless we think like that, only people can bring in the change. People raising questions, asking questions, demanding their rights, and knowing they are powerful than the system.
Right.
They are powerful than the leaders. There are no leaders.
Yeah.
We only have representatives.
You've been critical both of the Congress and the
anybody for that
and
matter.
the BJP. So, and you are gravitating towards KCR. I think you.
No, it is exactly very good question. See, I am not against BJP or Congress. I am against the ruling party because they are the ones who are governing. Okay. So when Congress was there, I was against it. The point is, as a citizen of this country, as an artist of this country, you are an eternal opposition party. Because they come, they ask, and they request to elect them. Now, I am close to KCR, I don't join his party, but I see a hope in that leader because what he has done in Telangana as a BRS, and he is trying to bring that model into it. And I like him because he is talking about the federal spirit, which is the important thing in this country, where we are making one rule. Now, simple example is we are thinking of until and unless education becomes a state subject, health becomes a state subject, farming should become a state subject, because we have varied spaces.
Education is already a state
it is not.
Subject,
no, you bring in NEET, you bring in a lot of other things, you want to bring one
modifications
language,
yes.
one language policy, you are recreating history, changing history and bringing it into curriculum. So that a uniqueness you are removing from every culture, and that doesn't work like that. See, the point is you should see the agenda behind it, the intent behind it. And I see a BRS or anybody else, because I'm just a bridge as a citizen, whether it could be Stalin, whether it could be Kejriwal, it could be KCRG, it could be Mamta, or it could be Pinarayan, or anybody for that matter.
So you look at Bharat.
I don't look at anything.
As
They ask us.
As a federal alternative to.
There is a movement, there is an intent. So we don't belong to any party. There's one group of us who think across this country, there's a lot of this, Swara Bhaskar could be a lot of us. They come to us, they think that, yeah, suggest us something, and we would like to help anybody who thinks to make this country with a federal structure, yeah.
So you're saying as artists, you are supporting a cause rather than a leader or a party?
As an artist, it becomes your imminent responsibility, and it should be a way of life to represent and to see. Because you have a stage, and you have traveled through so many horizons, and I think you need to be an empowering space. We should be an empowering person, and if I can empower, then why not?
Right. So would it be correct to say that you are, say, the face of this movement led by KCR
I am not.
at the moment?
They are the
in
faces of
Karnataka?
this movement.
Yeah.
We could be wheels. We could be a guiding force. We could be the questioning force. That's what KCR says. What I like about Prakash is tomorrow he'll question me too. I said, yes, sir. I mean, I have nothing to, I have everything enough is there, but I have little more time. And if you are doing something for we are thinking of the country. We are talking about two ideologies fighting. What we have to understand is ship is sinking. We will go down together. So we should have dialogue. Who's right, who's wrong is not the point. But is there a dialogue? Is there a mathanam which is happening? And we realize that our ship is sinking.
Yeah. Since you've been interacting with people across states, what is the feeling you get since we are approaching parliamentary elections in 2020?
See, every political party will fight for their position, things like that. And I think slowly people are realizing. I think the educated people have to realize. 40% of them don't vote at all. Now, what right do they have to complain about roads or things of a wrong leader? Because they have let somebody else whom they don't even care rule, and he is making the policies today. Right. We have seen somebody who doesn't know, who's not educated to become an education minister in this country. A fellow who has not done farming, he is an agriculture minister in this country. We are not even reimagining the field. We are not thinking of bringing in new farm laws. We are looking at it. And I think now they're facing the heat. And they need to think, and when my job is only to make people realize and continue the conversation, pursue the conversation, as simple as that.
Right. So you feel there's with your ear to the ground, that some change is imminent?
See, change is the only thing which doesn't change. Right? It's constant. It is inevitable. You realize, you do it. Otherwise, you perish, but it will form. That is what evolution is. That is what history is. You can't continue to be suffocated. Better to realize. And I think there is a process. And I am not a pessimist. And I am an optimist. And I think as long as I am there, I'll be knocking and I'll be relevant.
So, and who are the leaders in Karnataka that you think can actually provide this?
No, don't talk about leaders. If I start naming, today the problem is, the whole idea is you say Siddaramaiah, you somebody, if you start naming leaders, please try to understand what I said. No leader is important today. It's you have to realize. You choose a leader. You choose the representative. You hear them out, listen to them. You take a call. Don't wait for spoon feeding and wait. You are going to do the same mistake again.
So let's talk about.
I'll tell you a simple question. I was sitting with the police commissioner of a city. I will not name the city, and I was asking what happens if the police are not there in the city. He said they will stab one another and die. I said, why are you taking your job seriously? What is your police force? Few thousands, or a lakh. What is the population of the city? Crores. People still live because we still are basically good. What will my mother think? What will my neighbor think? What will my daughter think? There are 1 or 2% whom you have to handle. Don't take it serious. Take your power seriously. Right. It's we who run the country. It is like a bullock cart. The country is somehow surveying because of the goodness of the society. Yeah.
So if I were to ask you, what is your ideology when you talk about politics?
You're getting into the trap. No, why are you are leftist, rightist, centrist? No, be open. See, what is relevant is should be the ideology. Why do you want to put it into a bracket, socialist movement? Every movement has worked and failed, worked and failed. It is not that, it has to be change is the constant thing. You have to continue to adapt, you have to continue to unlearn, you have to continue to reinvent, you will continue to have a vision of the future and prepare people to be relevant in the future.
Right.
Don't say you have made it, it changes.
So you're looking at the role of artists as, say, conscience keepers and people who ask
No, I'm not going to take that
questions.
also seriously. I'm going to make it a way of my life. As simple as that. You just breathe and either you inspire or you empower. Don't teach. And until and unless you do that, otherwise I'll lose my peace of mind.
Right.
The point is I should not strain myself.
Right.
It should be like a wind.
No, but at some point, if you were to be offered the position of a minister for culture, for example,
Why
would you take it up? I
No,
mean,
the sense is, why will they give it to me? Who are giving it to me? There are a lot of people. Every party wants to make me their MP, their Rajya Sabha, or some chairman of this thing. That will not work because the problem is in the system.
Right.
It is not me. There are better people. The point is, I can give you. There are better people. If you are giving it to me, then I will find around me who's the best. Who are the thinkers? I will bring them in. It is not that I know everything. That doesn't work like that.
Right.
If I become a cultural minister, what is culture? It is not just theatre, cinema. No, it should get into education system. 1 hour of theatre has to get into. Leading literature has to get into the education system, into the curriculum.
Yeah.
And what will you do? Then you are dependent on people who are good at it. I can't decide a teacher. I'll have to find somebody who knows what faculty is.
Right. But in an ideal situation, an actor such as Prakash Raj, who's well read and who's articulate, would make a good culture minister.
That could be an allegation too. So they just don't get it. Don't make leaders, I'm telling you. Don't make them.
Right. Okay. So let's switch to your films. A couple of questions. You've completed close to 400 films.
I don't know. I don't keep track of it.
So what are you doing now, and what is it that excites you among the projects that you're now working on?
I'm now doing Maniratnam's PS2 is ready for release, but now I'm very excited. Little few Malayalam films, Telugu films, commercial films. But I'm very excited with the web series space and the sort of 2 web series I'm doing. And there's so much as an actor for me. There's from Marathi, there's a Bengali director coming up, there's a Kerala director coming up. And I'm suddenly finding that I have to unlearn a lot, and the challenges, the nuances, the small, and the space the web series has given, it's just now to 2.5 hour film anymore. And they spend so much of a story of a character comes out, and so much of journey, and the way they think, the way they perceive, is so beautiful. And I'm enjoying that as an actor, that I get to do, know, read, travel, live through different layers and dimensions of roles, which I probably, if I was stuck in cinema and with my popularity of commercial cinema, wouldn't have been able to do.
You just spoke about your initiative, Nirdiganta,
Nirdiganta.
which is going to help a lot of writers, artists.
It is not just helpful. That's again going to be misunderstood. Nirdiganta is an incubator, is a space where artists and theatre will be produced plays. It is not just creating actors, directors and writers. It is also the audience, the land. So it is that connectant for the content and that, to create an ecosystem and send certain things out in a system. It is not just actors, directors and writers. It is also the people.
Yeah.
So together only we can.
Could you very briefly tell us what it's going to be?
Nirdiganta is inspired, and the line Nirdiganta is what Kuvempu talks about, horizonless, Vishwamanava or whatever it is. So I will be producing around 20-30 plays in the next 2 years, and which will be empowering different theatre groups who have been striving to do that. There's economic constraint to the theatre. So I can create a space, I can create a stage for money comes in or empowering element comes in. So we will be producing, if they can, it is not me who's going to decide. From different walks of the society, we have already zeroed it down. They will be the curating team. The sort of place they will decide, and once it is decided, we will empower them with the production expenses of the play. And that play, their only thing is they have to travel across this thing during a festival. After that, the play is theirs. And they'll be playing and they'll be earning out of it wherever you want. And slowly bring in different cultures, a different state. It will be a national theatre festival which will happen, where every year we will be empowering the theatre groups of different states and bring in different language plays, and which again will start a tour which starts from Bangalore, go to Mysore, Hubli, Dharwad, Tamil Nadu, Madurai, and then to Telangana. So it's a larger dream, larger space.
But it's
And
based in Mysore, you say.
The incubator is based in Mysore because I didn't want to go to a government or this thing and take a place. So I have a farm and I was farming and I thought I'll farm this way too. So that is a space where a lot of faculties who come down or people who want to do residential rehearsals and the team Nirdiganta which will train there and will go across to schools to have workshops, summer workshops to children, or if any theatre group says that we need a director, we will go there. It is something like that. It's different birds, like Ranganatittu. It will be just flowing. Yeah.
And what are you reading now? Because you are a voracious reader.
Now I'm now reading what these beautiful guys, Camera versus Kuvempu, these two guys have written. Brilliant.
Krupakar Senani.
Krupakar Senani. I'm reading that. And I'm reading one interesting book called Belakina Vyavasaya. Devnur Mahadeva gave it to me. It's, I know, because I'm doing farming around. And I'm going to a seed festival now on 19th. So it was very interesting to understand the sun. And those two books I'm reading.
Right. This is a trivia question. Is it easier for actors who play the hero to enter politics and be successful at it than for people who play the bad guy? The bad guys. Has this been a tradition, where we have an MGR and an NTR?
See, MGR, NTR, that was a different phase of period. Now, just being actors, you can't be a successful politician because it's unless there are few actors who want to be politicians, and I ask them, talk to me about the humus of the earth, talk to me about a farmers issue, talk to me about the economy. They don't know anything. Just popularity has not turned into votes in this country. In these elections of this country, it is such a system where you should know how to win. It's as simple as that, and too many other equations. Only when we get up and see that, realize that only people can bring in the change to this country. Yeah.
So if I were to ask you, what are the three things that voters should keep in mind when they go out to vote?
It's your country. It's your money. The one who is not the leader, he is representing you. Whom do you trust your money with? Whom do you trust your house with? Whom do you trust your children's future with? As simple as that. If you realize it, if you own up your country, if you own up your roads, if you own up your society, then you're bigger than these political parties and these political leaders. Yeah.
Right. And asking you about your favorite films perhaps is a difficult question because, but if I were to ask you, which do you think are your three most difficult roles?
I wouldn't say it is difficult. It is, I would say, what is satisfying, which took me to a journey, which was this thing. I think Irvar was a very interesting film. Kanjivaram was a very interesting film, which I liked. There's another film called Sometimes, which I did. And there are different films for that. There's a small little web series I did, Pavakadagal with Vetrimaran. So great process. The point is, what is interesting to me, you're looking at me as an actor, and name is not the point, but what will that give me? How will it enrich me? How will it make me unlearn and learn something else? How will it take me to another horizon? It's a very internal process, and any roles, any films, any magical moments of leap which gives me that, which enriches me, changes me from what I was a moment before. I love those roles. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Prakash Raj, talking to Deccan Herald, and thank you for coming to the BH Summit.
My pleasure.